Hi, right now James Ehrlich joined me at the table. He's the founder of ReGen Villages, and we just witnessed a really interesting and inspiring talk. But a lot of people weren't able to join today because of limited capacity. Just for those people at home to spread the message and to share your inspiring story, how should you recapitulate what you just told the audience?
Sure. ReGen Villages is the brainchild, really, of research that I've been doing for many years at Stanford University. It is the concept to build neighborhoods, new kinds of neighborhoods that focus on food, water, energy, and waste-to-resource management.
Right.
That we can build communities that are decentralized and therefore safe and resilient in dynamically changing environmental and economic times.
Yeah, because before we started this interview, you already said it's not a question if, it's when the current system will not sustain us any longer. And so you think there's really an urge to develop such projects?
There's an urgency. There's a critical urgency. There's about a 1.2 billion housing shortage on the planet right now.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest issues that we're facing right now are dealing with economic inequality, typically around housing, access to clean water, clean food. This is also obviously in developing economies. But here, in Europe and in the U.S. and other places, in developed economies, there are definite problems and issues and anxiety around feeling secure, about feeling safe in where you live, that you can stay in that house and not be thrown out into the street, for instance, that you can feel safe and know that your food is quality is safe, and that your water is clean, and that your energy is clean. All these kinds of things. So really there's a huge movement and interest in people who want to live like this.
Exactly. And do you think that it's more an issue of space, or how this space is used? Because the city, there's a house shortage, like you mentioned, but does it mean is it because there's not enough space, or because the space is not utilized efficient enough?
I think the challenge is that a lot of people feel that the best case for sustainability is proximity. In other words, that the density of cities makes the most sense for transport and for the way people live. And I agree in some ways, of course, that cities are vibrant and are easier in terms of, especially current economic milieu, of having a job and going to an office and being closer in terms of carbon footprint and being connected. At the same time, that's all changing. We really see, there was an Oxford and Cambridge study that came out last year that said within 20 years, and I think sooner, 47% of all employment won't exist anymore.
Because of the
AI,
rapid technology,
machine learning, robotics, etc. Exactly. So in that context, how are people going to actually live? And I think the main thing really is people want to, what we've seen is feel like they have a place somewhere that is theirs, that they can provide safe shelter and those kinds of amenities to their family that are all around food and water and energy, and turning waste into resources.
Exactly.
And that self-sustaining concept previously was considered, sort of libertarian or hippie, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But nowadays, it's completely mainstream. And I'm excited about that. I just came from an EU Parliament session, a commission that is on smart rural villages. And what I was really happy about was that the definition that they're using in smart includes the word resilience. And for us...
and resilience too? Like the climate?
It was resilience to climate change, resilience to economic changes, resilience in general to feel safe and secure.
So whatever happens in the outside world, the village itself will sustain over time. That's the goal. Because right now we are really, really dependent on external factors. So like what you said, like whatever happens outside in the world, we will always have food, we will always have clean water.
That's right, and I really like to replace the word sustainability
Okay.
with regenerative, because regenerative
All right.
is a kind of definition of living within nature and not separate from it.
Exactly.
Living in a situation where the systems of a neighborhood are supporting you and your family in thriving ways.
Exactly.
It's what I call logical safety, logical living. And I really feel that more and more people, as soon as they start to really see that this is an opportunity to live like this, they're going to want it.
Exactly.
And then that creates demand.
Yeah. Just for the people who are joining our live stream right now, I'm talking with James Ehrlich, the founder of ReGen Villages, and we're talking about why we need to change the way we are currently living. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, does it mean that the food that's grown in the village is only and exclusively for the inhabitants, or what will happen with the surplus?
Well, that's an interesting case, isn't it? So there's some laws on the books, for instance, in the Netherlands currently, that says that any food that is produced in the community itself is no problem, can be provided to the people who live in that community. But the moment we want to put even a free stand on the roadside next to the community, somehow or another, that's against the law.
Okay.
So there's some rules we need to address and change, isn't it?
It's against the law to give away free food.
It's against the law to basically to sell or to otherwise export the food that you grow in your neighborhood, in your community. These are rules and regulations. I'm confident eventually we can see that gets changed. But the main goal really is that all of these things, food, water, energy, and waste to resource management, are asset classes. That in the aggregate, those things can actually start in the future to help pay off mortgages. Because they are there to serve you. So once those systems amortize and pay off, then the idea really is that these systems can then start to be revenue generators for the people who live in the community.
Interesting. And so the first ReGen Village is in Almere currently?
It's not in Almere currently. We're hoping to be in Almere.
Okay.
We have received an approval for our master plan on 25 hectare of certified organic farmland. This was last July. And now we're in the process. We filed with the local government to move our land grant to a different part of Almere so that we can try to realize a little bit more density.
Exactly.
And the reason why I want to do more density is so that we can show a little bit of a better financial return. But also, most importantly, is that we can make the units then more affordable.
Exactly.
So less units means more price. And more units, a little bit more units, means more approachable.
Cheaper, exactly. And I saw on your website that there's a form to subscribe or to make yourself available, or how do you say that?
Yeah, to become a future resident.
Exactly.
We have nearly 10,000 signed up to be future residents for the first 200 homes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's.
And so how do you select based on what criteria?
We don't. We're not doing any social engineering really. The idea is that once we're ready to start accepting deposits, that it's first come first serve. And we have a list of people who have repeatedly said, I want to be first, I'm ready to be first. So we have that list of probably the first 200 aggregated, but we also have projects planned in lots of different locations around Europe. And so it's good to be on the list, because then the next project will come up and then those people will be on the list.
That sounds really interesting. I'm really curious where this is going, or where this will be in 5 to 10 years. Oh,
I'm curious too, and I'm really hopeful that we can find a solution for the housing crisis, for the water crisis, for healthy food, and turning waste into resources.
I'm really glad that there are people like you who really care and want to change the world.
Thank you. Before I go, I want to just say one last thing, if that's okay.
Of course.
Something that I said this evening on my last words, because it's been increasingly on my mind, and I think it's very important. That racism starts in our hearts and inside each of us, and that very quickly it can turn into fascism, which is a destructor of anything positive. And so I'm really hoping that people who are listening take it to heart and lead with their heart and understand that everybody has a passion for living a better life, and we need to be more accepting. That's my.
That's really inspiring. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you
James
so much.
Ehrlich, the founder of ReGen Village. I wish you good luck.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Mhm.